Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.
We were talking about fire a little bit. You said that's fire.
Fire.
So I want to talk about someone from the fire, Mr. Lucifer himself. Can I take you guys on a trip?
Let's trip.
Let's trip on this.
Nobody should be asked to handle this trip. That's some heavy shit. When you were tripping.
Yes. So like I said, I want to talk about Lucifer.
Fire.
So I was thinking the other day, I was like, yo, bro, how many times is Lucifer actually mentioned in the fucking Bible? And I got to researching, and he's actually only mentioned one time in the Bible. And this is it right here. Isaiah 14:12. This is from the King James Version. It's the most popular one. And it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?" So everyone, of course, is like, that's the fall of Satan. That's it, right? Because that's what you always hear. But all that says literally is, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation?" It says nothing about being an evil entity.
The coldest part is I came familiar with this line through a Jay-Z song.
There you go.
And they were trying to say, see, this is proof that Jay-Z is the devil. You know what I mean? Because he has that one song.
Lucifer, son of the morning.
I'm going to chase you out of here.
So check this out.
Yeah.
Son of the morning. Where does that come from? Venus.
This from the holy capital where they murder for capital.
Lucifer is one of various figures in folklore associated with the planet Venus. Why? Because the Greek, it reads in the translation of Venus is morning star or the shining one.
Here we go with those planets aligning and things mattering about the celestial bodies. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that's where you get that from. Lucifer is actually talking about Venus. So let's read this one more time. "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Venus, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?"
So it's talking about movement of the planet.
Exactly. And the sun came up and it's gone. Can't see it anymore. Right? Done deal. All right. Now that we covered that, let's move on to Satan. Well, in the Hebrew Bible, the term Satan is a generic noun, a noun. It's not a proper noun or a pronoun, whatever that word is to someone, a name, right? Like James, that's a proper noun, correct? Mm-hmm. It's not a proper noun. It's a noun. It means accuser or adversary. It's derived from a verb, meaning primarily to obstruct or oppose. So in the books, Samuel 29:4, it refers to human adversaries, but in the later books, especially Job 1-2 and Zechariah 3, to a supernatural entity. When used without the definite article, it can refer to any accuser, but when it is used with the definite article, it usually refers specifically to the heavenly accuser. So
that reminds me of, like, isn't there a term that we use for Jesus that was pretty much, it wasn't just it wasn't the same. It wasn't a pronoun at the time. It was just, was it something that just meant like Messiah or prophet, you know?
Yeah.
I forgot what the term was, but it was like we use it for Jesus, but it was not just for Jesus. You know, it was actually used for many different prophets of the time. You know,
for sure.
Similar to like that.
Yeah, well, Christ.
Yeah.
Christ is not a name. We know that, but I'm just saying this for the users. Christ is a title.
I wish I knew exactly what I was referring
to. Yeah, I know you're not referring to Christ, but I'm just throwing that out there that Christ itself is another one. It's like,
exactly.
This guy wasn't walking around.
And the letter J wasn't made to like
1440
or some shit.
Right.
Yeah, it was why. That's why, and Star Wars, that's all fucking has to do with Kabbalah and Judaism, bro. The names like Darth Vader, one of the Separat, the circles on the Tree of Life, one of those is called Dot, Daath, Darth, right? And then Yoda is Judah. So it all ties in, bro. Like, there's so many stormtroopers, all dudes in all white that are the bad guys. Nazi soldiers were called stormtroopers. So it all ties into all this fucking, like, Judaism and Kabbalah and
Right.
things of that nature.
It's
pretty
cool when
cool.
people break down those
Yeah.
movies because shit be going right over our head, but
So right here,
the
dude.
story's playing out right in our face over and over and over again.
Yeah. Right here with Satan,
Our
bro.
subconscious knows, though. That's the crazy part.
That's why they do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. So here on Numbers 22:22, this is one of the mentions of Satan. It says, Balaam's departure aroused the wrath of Elohim, and the angel of Yahweh stood in the road as a Satan against him. As a Satan.
Exactly. Like you're saying, a Satan, not
Yes.
the Satan,
As a Satan. So I was like, that's interesting.
which they said was an accuser, right?
Right. So, and then in 2 Samuel 24, it says Yahweh sends the angel of Yahweh to inflict a plague against Israel for 3 days. Let's see. But replaces, let's see. Let me read it for sure what it says.
I started
Is
off
it
this
down here?
episode, the mental check-in, by saying I was done blaming people, like accusing. Maybe that is the Satan in us, you know what I mean? Where we're not going within to God's self. We're always
Yeah.
trying to accuse.
Yeah. And here's in Job 1:6-8, it says, Yahweh asked one of them, the Satan, where he has been, to which he replies that he has been roaming around the earth. Yahweh asked, have you considered my servant Job? The Satan replies by urging Yahweh to let him torture Job, promising that Job will abandon his faith at the first tribulation. So it comes up time and time again. But what I'm getting to is Lucifer is Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Satan, the Satan, is a primal urge. It's like the demiurge, bro. It serves Yahweh. Yahweh created the material world. I told you that Gnostics kind of think that Yahweh is kind of like sort of evil, right? So he just said right there that he was Yahweh asked the Satan, did you consider my servant Job? So he wants to torture Job. So these are primal urges.
Right.
That's what the Satan is. It's like the root chakra, right? It's part of the material world. It's not a fucking guy.
Right.
It's not a thing. Now there may be
That makes it
entities out
easier
there that
for
are
people to blame others, the Satan,
Yeah.
instead of going to check yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Satan is something we experience within us. Now there may be entities out there that you could be like, that motherfucker Satan, right? Like if you ever met, I believe there are things out there like Lord Vecna from Stranger Things, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like I could definitely see that fool and be like, man, that's Satan. Like it may not be Satan per se, but I get where that comes from. But that is all I'm showing here is that Satan is actually a noun. It means the Satan, which is a demiurge, a primal instinct in man that brings us away from divinity. That's why it's used, and it became this entity, just like Jesus became an entity. It's not. It's about going within and finding the Christ consciousness within oneself. So why is Venus called the morning star? Because Venus shines so brightly that it is the first star to appear in the sky after the sun sets, or the last to disappear before the sun rises. And what's really interesting is the pentagram is associated with devil worship. So now we have Lucifer, which is really Venus. If you stand at Earth, which we're probably all just going to have to do for the time being, and look up and watch the sun's rotation around Venus, the orbit, for 8 years, it makes a fucking pentagram.
Nice.
That's why pentagram is associated with devil worship and Lucifer.
Well, see,
It's all astronomical.
isn't it a lot of it too to deal with the Adam and Eve story, and Lucifer representing the light and enlightening humans and giving us knowledge, where Yahweh or God was trying to keep us without knowledge, Doesn't it have their worship of Lucifer has to do with some of that too, right? Like Lucifer being the light bearer.
But Lucifer's not mentioned they're just said
No,
a
right,
serpent.
right. I'm not even talking about the Bible at this point. I'm talking about when we're talking about you said people that wear the pentagram and Lucifer,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get into that. So here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to preempt you.
No.
I thought
That's
that
great.
I
I'm
thought
glad
that
we're
was
going
it.
in the same fucking direction, bro.
Okay, for sure.
No, I'm glad we're going in the same direction. I just want to talk about the pentagram of Venus. So that's it right there, brother. You see the constellations around it. Excuse me, the signs around it, the zodiac signs. And you see the pentagram right there, brother?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that dope? Fucking, isn't that crazy, bro? How they figure all this shit out? That's fucking wild. So this is the Pentagram of Venus. I'm not gonna read all this nonsense about it, but basically,
The math behind it, yeah.
If you go up, I shouldn't say nonsense. The beauty behind it. I'm
There
not
you
gonna
go,
go into
yeah.
the details. Rather, if like I said, if you stand on Earth and you watch Venus for 8 years, then it makes that pentagram, and that is why that is associated with devil worship. So,
And it's weird though because they're really trying to worship creation. You know, we just call it devil worship. If you're not harming anybody and you're like wearing the pentagram and you believe in this, I wouldn't think that's bad. It seems like it's almost been demonized so that we think that that's a evil thing. You know what I mean?
yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm getting to right here.
So, okay, sorry.
No, brother. I'm glad that that's what we're on the same page.
Yeah, like
So I want to talk about Satanism for a second. This is Baphomet. Now, Baphomet, I've talked about before, but Eliphas Levi was a famous French occultist, and he's the one that first drew this guy. So basically, I can just go over this real quick. And, you know, the reason he has breasts is that they're talking about the union between masculine and feminine.
interesting.
You have the serpents, similar to the Kaddish. Look it up, guys. It's Caud something, Caduceus or something. These snakes, but that's the Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he's in one of the yoga poses. So yeah,
All kind of stuff going on. The hands.
yeah. Eliphas
wings,
Levi wrote that, and then you have the two moons, and one of them might even be the sun and the moon. I think that's what that is. You see, one's black, one's white. You have it looks like the crown chakra up here. So
And it's like the similar one like the Pope wears and the Egyptian.
yeah, so I want to get into theistic Satanism. So commonly referred to as devil worship, views Satan as a deity whose individuals may supplicate to. It consists of loosely affiliated or independent groups and cabals, which all agree that Satan is a real entity. So listen to what they said. Loosely affiliated or independent groups and cabals, right? So that could be little heavy metal kids that don't know what the fuck it is really, and they're just doing their thing. So that's Satanism, theistic Satanism. But atheistic Satanism, this is the big church where they're putting up the temples, and people are like, dude, they're putting up these fucking satanic temples. You saw the one in Detroit? Fucking kids are right there. Remember we covered it on the pod?
I don't remember.
Dude, there's a huge statue in Detroit, bro, of Baphomet with a kid on each side, like adoring him, bro.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, huge.
Okay.
So atheistic Satanism is practiced by the Satanic Temple and by followers of LaVeyan Satanism, which is Anton LaVey. He was one of the influences on Manson. Holds that Satan does not exist as a literal anthropomorphic entity, but rather as a symbol of a cosmos which Satan is perceived to be permeated and motivated by a force that has been given many names by humans over the course of time. In this religion, Satan is not viewed or depicted as a hubristic, irrational, and fraudulent creature, but rather is revered with Prometheus-like attributes symbolizing liberty and individual empowerment. To adherents, he also serves as a conceptual framework and an external, excuse me, man, I'm fucking drunk. External metaphorical projection of the Satanist's highest personal potential.
I'm not like trying to say that people that do evil shit aren't evil, but I think oftentimes we're sold the first version that you read of Satanism, and then most people subscribe to that version right there, like the elite people, you know, and people that are into like all that, you know, doing different symbols and what's the word I'm looking for? Rituals and stuff.
I think a lot of the elites may not even be worshiping Satan.
Saturn.
I think exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I think when we've talked, I think it's Saturn, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's, you know, and I think the loosely affiliated
because this one is
cabals
Venus.
and stuff.
You said it's Venus, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's different deities probably that they tap into. I think that the same ones that we expose that are into the whole Saturn worship and the black cube, they probably tap into this Venus energy when necessary. Yeah, because we're talking about planets here. You know what I mean? That's what's the craziest thing, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
But here we are. I'm not going to say use the word worship, but I am pretty damn thankful and give a lot of my reverence to the sun. You know what I mean? I don't like pretty much pray to it, but I look at it for whatever it is. You know what I mean? It brings me joy, bro. The sun, I just stare at it. Yeah, you do, bro. Sun gazing is a thing. You just got to do it at dusk and dawn, bro. Just can't do it at, when it's right above your head. Yeah, now that's probably not a good idea, especially while you're driving. But no, dusk and dawn, definitely you can stare at it, bro. It's try it next time. That shit'll give you a hallucinogenic experience just by staring at the sun as long as you fucking can, bro. It's pretty gnarly. But yeah, I said all that to say these people are worshiping these planets, and then hell, well, I pretty much revere the sun. You know what I mean? So all of us are tied into these bodies more than we probably even know.
The last line I just want to read right here. Satan, this is according to atheistic Satanism. Satan is not a conscious entity to be worshipped, rather a reservoir of power inside each human to be tapped at will.
There it is.
Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.